Hey guys, welcome to the Dialed In podcast. Thanks for coming back again. This is the low equity edition. Today we're joined by Patrick, and Laura's back for a third time for more and more punishment. As always, we're working with low equity leads that are sponsored by RocketBotLeads.ai. They provide us with brand new on market MLS direct data that gets to us much faster than all of the other data aggregators. So feel free to use the coupon code that we have listed in the ticker down below right now, and you'll receive 20% off for your first month. Let's dive right in. Let's start with Patrick. Patrick, you are brand new to this low equity calling session. Thanks so much for joining us. We just saw that you're at a Starbucks. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how people can contact you and work with you, and all of those good things.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so I'm calling you guys, dialing in from Starbucks here in Northern California, Sonoma County. I am an agent. I'm also an engineer for a utility company. Been working low equity leads for quite some time here. Happy to be on and make some dials. If you're in Northern California, or if you're newer and want to just get on a meet and greet, would love to do that. You can follow me on Instagram, Patrick Mahoney, REI, or you can get with me on Facebook and send a friend request and a private message, and I'll get back to you and we can get on a call and connect and see how I can help you.
So Patrick, one thing that you mentioned before we pressed record here was how you're an agent up in Northern California and how your approach to direct agent might be a little bit more consultative than others, right? I might be a little bit more direct. You're much more consultative. Is that the right? Yeah, I think it's right. I'm like 99% sure that's right.
If it's not a word, it ought to be.
Yeah, exactly. We'll make it up, right? I mean, Webster's adds new words to the dictionary every single year. So,
yep.
So tell us a little bit more about that approach. Like, what is your goal, for example, when you're talking to an agent? Are you more focused on the deal, or are you more focused on the relationship, or both?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I approach it with the mindset of I'm in the relationship building industry. So as you guys most of you guys know, or a lot of people know, that real estate is a relationship-based industry. Whether you have relationships with lenders, buyers, wholesalers, fix and flippers, whatever it may be, I approach it the same way of just building a relationship with those agents, because this may not work out specific for this one deal that I'm working with the agent, but I like to start with some credibility, some rapport building, talk about the deal that they do have, see if it's a good fit, but really lean into that relationship building portion, because that one agent may bring me 3 or 4 or 5 deals throughout the year that they are struggling to sell. Or maybe they have a colleague that they go out and get coffee with, and they're talking about their leads that, or their listings that just aren't selling. And she may remember me and say, hey, I got this guy, Patrick, he buys a lot of homes. This is what he does. Let's get on a call with him and talk. And so that's why I really lean into the relationship building. I'm not as direct of, just saying, hey, here's, and Mike, like we were talking, I'm not as direct as, others that maybe, hey, here's what we can do. It's, do you want to take it or not? I just kind of offer, hey, here's what we do. These are some of the ways we can structure to help your seller out. I'm not saying it's the best option for them. I'm just saying, hey, it is an option that they don't really teach you in real estate school. Like when I went through school, they didn't teach you this. So it's just another tool in the tool belt to help your sellers. So that's kind of how I approach it. I like to make relationships. I like to joke around with people. I like to have fun with it. So.
Yeah, I love that. In fact, you chimed in right when I was going to say exactly the same thing, which is they don't teach these kinds of things that we do in real estate school, right?
Mm-hmm. Not at all.
So, you as the agent coming in and having a conversation with another agent about the types of ways that someone can purchase or sell a property are very different than what they're used to, right? They're typically, hey, throw it on the MLS.
Yep.
Hold an open house. Yep. Someone's going to buy it at some point. Create these. What did we when I was in the commercial real estate business, we would always kind of joke about how residential real estate agents do like the bus bench signs, like having your face on a bus bench. I know that that's not really a thing anymore, but you just try to get your name out any way that you can. And the way that we do business is a little bit different, right? It's much more in depth. The things that we do they require different types of education that they just don't teach in real estate school. Mm-hmm. So I'm very interested in seeing your perspective on it. Thanks so much for joining us, Patrick.
Thank you.
Laura Groom, back again. Love it.
I am back, and I love it.
Oh, good. Well, thanks for joining us again. You're a regular, and you're going to be hosting this thing here pretty soon. Hopefully.
That means because this is like my third time, that means I'm excellent at this, right?
Excellent. Yeah, I think if you go a fourth time, you're what's the next level up? Let's make another word up.
I don't know. Well, you're good at making words up. Let's do it.
Yeah, without the real word.
Okay, I'll be thinking about that before my invite next week. I'm super grateful to be here. Super, super grateful. I am very excited to call all these agents today because of Mike's selflessness and just pouring into this community. So sincerely. And I'm also very thankful to get to share with you my latest passion. One of the reasons why
hold on. Let me do a brief introduction for you because I don't want you just to lean into it.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm excited.
Okay, cool. So Laura and Patrick and I were talking before we pressed record again about energy levels and about how I have an addiction to caffeine that I'm trying to kick, among other addictions. But whatever. I'm a human. Patrick drinks lots of coffee because sometimes he does very long shifts or used to. And so Laura, yeah, exactly. There's his Pete's coffee in a Starbucks cup. And so Laura chimed in. Laura has this amazing new product that she tried. So Laura, please take it away.
Well, thank you very much. That product is called X39. And the reason why I'm promoting it is because I've been an ICU nurse for 32 years. I've been in healthcare. And so my heart is to help people and to see that people feel better. And that's just the truth. And so one of the reasons why I've liked real estate is because I've seen how you can help so many people. Well, I'm going to try to tell a long story short, but I came across X39 the end of August. I was calling off work all the time. I had intense pain down my leg every day, couldn't sleep. It was really affecting my life. So I studied this product out. What it does is activate our stem cells by elevating copper peptides. It is, let me just show it. It's literally a phototherapy patch, and you wear it 12 hours a day and take it off. And because I'm in the medical field, I was able to research it really thorough. I've actually created a 6-page magazine that I am marketing to physicians, and that is going very well. And so the reason why I'm promoting it is because it absolutely works. Countless testimonies on this product. I started using it in August, the end of August, and come November, I couldn't even believe it. I should have believed it because of all the testimonies I had seen and the research I had done. But anyway, my pain was gone. My energy was off the charts. My well-being, I had never had a sense of well-being like that. And hair growth, skin appearance, all the things. And so I decided at the beginning of this year to start promoting it because I'm almost 60 and getting to this stage in life and seeing all I've seen in the ICU and seeing people just not living their best life, but yet still having all those hopes and dreams and still youth on the inside. I just want to see people live out their days and be able to fulfill those hopes and dreams. So check it out, X39. It literally works. And call me, 314-629-9171. It's an amazing product. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Laura also does real estate as well. And we're excited to have her back. Patrick, are you shocked that this has turned into an infomercial?
No.
I am.
I'm just playing. So you guys know the routine. Those of you guys who have attended this before, Patrick and Laura have both been given lists. Their job now is to go contact these agents, start a conversation. We'll see where that conversation goes. We'll provide them with feedback, and you guys in the comments also provide feedback as well. We want to know how to improve, right, guys? Laura, Patrick, it's always nice to, every time we want to make a call, we want to be better than the call before it, right? And the only way that we can do that is by either analyzing our own calls or people analyzing the calls for us. So Patrick, Laura, thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's get going on some phone calls.
Thank you.
I'm not going to bite, by the way, on the caffeine. I'm going to dig my heels, and I'm not going to have caffeine. Might order X39, but no caffeine. You guys can also see on the ticker, this is not for Patrick or Laura here, guys, but you guys can see on the ticker that there's the site sub2safely.com. I've created a quick little resource guide for you. So what we talk about on sub2safely.com is we provide resources like white papers, things like that, maybe ebooks about how you guys can structure sub-2 deals in the safest way possible for the sellers. That should always be your first priority. Never do a deal unless it's safe for the seller. You guys can feel free to pass these resources off to your agents as well. I think that they'd appreciate it. They're probably going to want to make sure that what we're talking about is a legitimate way to close transactions, but Patrick is here to talk to us about that too, because he is an agent. So we will discuss that today as well.
Hi, this is Karen.
Hey, Karen, this is Patrick. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Patrick?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm a little tired. I have a 4-month-old daughter that keeps me up. She's in a funky sleep schedule, so I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry about that. What can I help you with?
So I was actually calling you about a listing you have down in Casa Grande on Abbey Road. Hot off the press, 2 days listed.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'm the first person to call you on that one.
You had a couple inquiries, but what are you calling in regards?
Yeah, well, kind of actually a funny situation. So I'm actually an agent over here in Northern California. My wife and I, we own a portfolio of homes throughout Arizona and Montana. And I actually just went into escrow 2 weeks ago on a property in Montana, Kalispell, Montana.
Okay.
And the seller, he actually moved down to Casa Grande, and he was like, hey, if you ever come across some nice homes down there, I would like to, just kind of slide him over to me. And so he kind of told me what he was looking for. And so I wanted to call and just kind of see what the story was with this house. Looks like a cute little home. Looks like it was built a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Just wanted to see what the story was with it.
Yeah, they relocated to Arizona from a different state, and they kind of moved to the outskirts, and got a great deal on a home in a different community, but they're at a different place now. They have 2 young boys. They're expecting a 3rd baby.
Oh wow,
and
nice.
They just want to be closer to friends and activities. And,
yeah, love it.
She stays home during the day, so she wants to have those amenities.
Love it. Are they moving closer to like Phoenix area, or are they still kind of nice?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, we own a couple homes in the Phoenix area. I love it down there. I love it down there, except for in the summertime.
Well, you just go from AC to heat in the summertime, or AC to water.
Yeah. I feel like I would have to only go down there during the winter months, which is usually when I visit my properties, kind of do the whole snowbird thing, and then leave when I'm not. No, that's cool. So it sounds like, they bought it a couple years ago. Now they're moving closer to Phoenix. Their family's growing a little bit. Where did they, I guess it's only been listed for a couple of days. So you guys have had some interest in it, but you guys really haven't, had a whole lot of activity because it's only, been on market for a couple of days.
Just a couple of days.
I did see in the listing something about seller may even carry loan. What's the scoop with that?
So marginally, kind of where they are right now for like the traditional buyer, they're cutting like a small check in order to sell once they pay off the solar. So they would consider, just to kind of marginally make things up, carrying the loan at like a $415 price at market rate.
Gotcha. Okay, so kind of doing like a wraparound mortgage is what they're thinking of doing. Mm-hmm. Okay, nice. Interesting. Usually sellers don't really opt for that right away.
Well, it's not like they have a ton of liquidity, that they're getting out of it. They're kind of at a place where it could be lucrative for them to do something like that.
Yeah. What's funny is that's exactly how I purchased that property in Kalispell, was doing a wraparound with that seller. And that's why he was kind of wondering, do I ever come across properties down in Casa Grande that might be a very similar situation? I guess what's the situation with the underlying debt, as opposed to kind of doing a wraparound? If somebody were to just come in and take over that existing debt for them, what's their opposition to that? Or have you guys considered that?
Well,
or
their thought process is they can potentially make interest on anything if they're acting as the lender, essentially, right? As opposed to kind of assuming what they have, where it's not going to be as financially lucrative for them.
To
pass on that rate.
That makes sense. So they're really kind of targeting more of like a homestead buyer that can come in, maybe like a unqualified lease option type buyer, or
like a rent-own type buyer, or someone who's self-employed who can't get traditional financing.
Yeah. We actually sell a lot of properties on lease options like that. What I do is I kind of do exactly what the homeowner's trying to do. Is I come in and I buy properties on a wrap, or what I do is I buy them on a mirror wrap. So I purchase them, and the wraparound just mirrors their existing debt. And then I end up selling them on a wrap for, a higher purchase price or something like that. Have you guys had a lot of inquiries about that, or are most people that kind of reach out?
We've had a couple. We've had a couple sign calls. We have an open house scheduled for Saturday, but I mean, it is on the outskirts, so we expect days on market to be higher out there.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. I think for me, it probably wouldn't be, the best fit. Just, being transparent, probably not the best buyer unless, they would be interested in trading. If they can let me capitalize on that interest rate, maybe I could come in with a little bit more down towards the seller to make it make sense for them, to where they're still making some money, but I could capture that interest rate. I'm not sure if that's an option for them, but if that's something you think they may consider, I'd love to kind of maybe talk with them and see if that's something we could put together.
Yeah, I can circle back around with you and let you know kind of where they're at after this weekend.
Yeah, perfect. Because I think, this is definitely something I'm interested in. It sounds like they bought it only a couple years ago, so I imagine they probably got a decent rate. I'm not opposed to seeing what it, if they're cool with me just taking that rate, what it would take for them on the front end to make sense. To allow me to, be able to cash flow and stuff.
Yeah, I'll circle around with them and then I'll get back to you.
Perfect. Should I give you a call maybe sometime like Monday or Tuesday just to follow up?
Yeah, I think Tuesday would probably be ideal.
Perfect. All right, Karen, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Have a good day.
Bye.
Great call. Really good. Yeah, really good call. So talk me through that a little bit, Patrick. How'd you feel on the call? How'd you feel she was as an agent? Interesting scenario, obviously, right? So talk a little more about what you're feeling.
Yeah, so this is my first call of today. Usually the first call is the roughest for me. I'm kind of getting in the swing of things. But I didn't match her energy as good as I should have. She's a very kind of faster paced talking. She's just more of obviously not a red agent or seller, but she's just kind of more straight to the point, short, logistical wise. So I could have matched her energy a little bit better. Kind of threw me off. I just happened to see at the very end that said seller may even carry loan. So I'm thinking, I just kind of threw that out there because normally, again, I don't call data as fresh. So normally I'm saying, hey, what have you gotten from open houses? What are people saying about the house? Why can't you drop the price or anything like that? So kind of wanted to just throw that out there because normally I don't call super fresh leads. But I don't know, maybe it sounds like, obviously this agent has done sub 2 or wraps before, or else she wouldn't understand it. So she's very intelligent. She's educated, which is good for me because I want to build a relationship with her. So that's, again, where it comes more important to me is I want that relationship, not this deal. I know we're here to get the deal and, obviously make money and stuff like that, but the relationship to me is very important.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think we also have to be focused on deals down the road, right? Not just today's deal, but deals 6 months from now. So exactly. I think you're exactly right. So Laura, what did you think of the phone call?
I was jealous of Patrick's experience that he has as an agent and just how easy it seemed for you to talk to her. And I was thinking I will look forward to the day that I can speak as intelligently as you were to her. So awesome. Can you guys give just a quick snippet of is wraparound is just another fancy word for sub 2, isn't it?
It's very, very, very similar. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was going to say that's the real term. Well, there you can go both ways. A wraparound mortgage is kind of the real term for when a seller provides a mortgage to you that wraps around the existing mortgage they have with the bank. Now, a naked sub two is when, in my understanding, is when you don't actually set up a wraparound mortgage where the seller is physically giving you a mortgage with a deed of trust and a promissory note. You are just legitimately coming in and taking over those payments. That's like a naked sub two. The way I do it, because I'm an agent and I like to make sure sellers are protected, and I just, I want to set things up correctly. What I do is I create a wraparound mortgage that mirrors the existing mortgage. So essentially what it is the seller is going to seller finance me the property for the same terms that they have with their mortgage company. And if you were to kind of boil it down in simplistic forms, that's what a wraparound mortgage is they're providing me a mortgage, even though they have a mortgage with the bank, and the mortgage they create with me just wraps around their existing mortgage. I don't know, Mike, if you want to add some stuff.
No,
I'm wrong.
No, great definition. I love that. So, basically a sub two is a wrap, right? It's just a mirror wrap. So the seller's receiving a promissory note, a deed of trust. What these people are doing is more of like the way that we would think of a wrap as an investment, right? So they're saying, and by the way, I tried to find that one. Is that number 4 on that list, Patrick?
No, it's number 20.
20. Okay.
Abbey Road.
Got it. Yep. Okay, cool. So interesting. It looks like they were going to net about 17,000 or so at close. But she mentioned too that there was a solar that they wanted to pay off, right? So typically an agent's going to look at that and say, they might calculate it differently. So they might think that they're going to walk away with 20 or 25 grand, depending on the commission splits and all those sorts of things. But there's still that solar to pay off, right? So their price currently at 400,000. What they're saying though is that they would sell it at 415. I think that was the number with seller finance. So it's kind of a cool way to do it, actually. I mean, I appreciate that model. The one that I was looking at, Patrick, looked like it was listed at 340. So going up to 415 would be a massive jump. I was like, holy smokes, what's going on with that? But I love the fact that they're providing a different option, So that's really, really cool. There's not as much of an advantage for you, Patrick, right? I mean, other than the fact that maybe you don't have to technically get qualified with the bank, but the rate's not going to be an advantageous rate for you. Right. So, who knows how that's going to shape up. I love the fact that they give you a different option. I really liked how you used a third-party story for comparing what you've done in Kalispell or Arizona to this deal, right? Hey, that's exactly how I bought the deal over here. She kind of teed it up for you, right, in a really nice way. And you picked up really quickly, as I did, how aware of creative finance she was. She knows her stuff. Yeah. Maybe we'll see how much she exactly knows, but she knows her stuff. So yeah, I mean, look, I think that could be a decent option depending on what happens down the line with the listing. If that's still on the market in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever that is, and they've somehow come down in price, then it could be a good option, a better option for them, possibly just to sell on a sub 2 and then give them some more cash at close and possibly even leave the solar lien on it, right? Depending on what's left and what the payment is. So that's kind of the advantage of this data, which you mentioned, Patrick, is now you have about 10 days or so to build that relationship and make sure that you are the one who she thinks of when it comes to these sort of creative finance options. Yeah. Yeah. Great job.
Well, he'll be talking to her on Tuesday.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I love that, right? Setting up the follow-up appointment. Let me call you on Tuesday, see how the open house went. Hopefully you got the offers you're looking for. Let's talk about how we can possibly work together on this one or another one. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Really good job.
Thank you.
All right, guys, let's keep rolling.
Hi, Nellie. My name is Laura. I'm calling about your property I've listed in 305 North 15th Terrace. So you just listed that, right? Okay. So I'm an investor, and these are the kind of properties that we purchase. I know you probably at this point wouldn't be interested in listening to a creative solution because you just listed it, but I do like to introduce myself fairly early on after properties get listed, just so that you have my contact. I've seen, unfortunately, in these people in these situations that have had to bring like cash to close, and so many people can't afford that. And so I just wanted you to have my contact so that you could keep me in mind before you would possibly do any price drops or anything like that. These low equity homes can be difficult to sell at times. So anyway, is there any kind of story with the house or motivation or thing? Out of the country. Okay. Well, do you have any other properties perhaps that have been sitting on market that I could help you with? We actually buy properties several different ways. This is just one that I was calling on.
If anything changes, I could give you a phone, a call.
Oh, I'd appreciate that. I'll actually shoot you a text so that you have my contact.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Nellie. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my goodness. I totally forgot to put my call on speaker.
That's okay.
I'll get there.
That's okay.
Wait.
Look, here's the thing. I love that you made that phone call with us for a few reasons. I'll get into it in a second. Patrick, what's your feedback?
We can't hear
You're
you.
muted, Patrick.
Sorry about that. I tend to do that in my work meetings too. I talk and I'm on mute. Anyways, I wasn't able to hear her conversation because you weren't on speakerphone, but I wasn't sure if you were leaving a voicemail or not. I would say the only feedback that I kind of had was it seems like you kind of just came all in right away with kind of everything, and that it may be your style, which is totally fine. I just have found in my experience that sometimes just starting with an introductory, talking just a little bit about who I am, and then just asking kind of open-ended questions about the house to get them to kind of feel comfortable to open up. But I know that a lot of people do love that kind of just direct approach, and it's a very good approach, and it is effective. So
Actually,
yeah.
to be honest, I was telling Mike last week, I just don't do well with role play and mock situations. I was telling him, like, in a real life code, I'll be barking orders to everybody. I'm in control. I'm saving this life. And when it comes to a mock code, I'm like I can't even function hardly. It's just like stupid to me. And I just feel that in this situation. Like, I've been calling agents, on my own at different times, and I'm good with people, and I just speak with people, okay, and have had really decent conversations. And but then you get in this situation, and I'm just like,
you totally sounded great. Like like what you're talking about. Like you flowed good. You talked about how we purchase homes and stuff like that. You introduced yourself as an investor. You started building, some credibility there and stuff like that. So it sounded great.
Well, every line I used was taken from notes that Mike has shared. Well, we buy all types of properties. This is just one. So actually.
So, Laura, you are an ER nurse, right?
ICU.
ICU nurse. Okay, cool. So pretty intense work, I can imagine, right?
Intensive care.
Very. Yeah. It's in its definition. What I like to do is I like to script, that's the wrong word. I like to use our personal experience in other things and bring it into this world. And what I mean by that is, when you're in the ICU, you tell me, and I don't know, this is more of a genuine question. I can imagine that you care very deeply about the patients that you are working with. And you want to make sure that you're doing your best to make them better. Whatever's in your power to do that, you want to make sure you do that. Am I guessing correctly?
100%, and their family, which includes slapping any doctor upside the head that isn't doing what they're supposed to do. I am a very good advocate.
right? And that's a great point too, right? Because you're also an authority in that role, right? You're the person who's in charge of that person's health. And so you're kind of balancing the act of care for that person, right? Like genuine empathy or sympathy, care, and also you're like you said, barking orders at doctors or other people. And so, I think that as you bring that into here, you can bring that authoritative approach into here. What I would encourage you to do is bring it in. And I like the direct approach, honestly. I would start to ask questions early on. You can bring that authoritative approach in and say something like, hey, Laura, this is Mike. I'm calling about your list on 123 Main Street. I'm interested in buying something like this. You can kind of do your own little spiel there. Then ask an open-ended question, right? Then start a conversation. I thought too that you might have been on a voicemail. Just leave it on voicemail.
I know, I forgot to take it on, put it on speaker for you guys.
Well, no, that wasn't the point. It was just, it was more of, I felt like you were downloading all the information that you know on to them, as opposed to engaging in a conversation.
Gotcha.
So, maybe think of this as like you're working with the family of an ICU patient. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out what the best approach is for treatment, if you will. How can I work with them? How can we work together to figure out what's best for, in this case, the homeowner? In your on the work case, it's your patient, right? Yeah. So, you asked a question, what's the motivation? Interestingly, Patrick asked something kind of similar, but in a different way, but got the information, right? So I think a good way to do that is just engage in conversation and see where that goes. So think of yourself as the consultant with family, and in this case, the family is the agent, and the patient is the home seller or homeowner.
And actually, I'm very good at letting them know I'm competent, that they can trust, their loved one in my care, but also kind of what I'm known for is my heart. Like when people get put on comfort measures, it's going to be their last day, they always assign them to me. So anyway, because I'm good with people. So yeah, good analogy. So.
Well, it wasn't as well thought out as I was hoping. Patrick, what are your thoughts on that analogy as it relates to these phone calls?
Definitely. I think you're right. And my mom and my wife are both nurses, both ER nurses. My mom was ICU for a long time. So I totally can relate just from hearing their third party stories of that stuff. But I think, talking to bringing the authoritative and that approach, I think leveraging that just experience and the sympathetic, or kind of like the, sometimes when you're talking to agents in these low equity situations, they're foreclosures, or sometimes they had a spouse that died and they can no longer live here, or, finding that motivation, but then empathizing with that and just kind of bringing your experience in and leveraging that, but also being, kind of flipping that switch to being authoritative and more of like, hey, this may not work, but this is something we've done in the past. This is how we've purchased homes. We do a lot of these every month. I don't know if it's a good option, but let me just at least explain how we do that, and we can see if it's a good fit that works for them. So I think you definitely have that ability to do that.
And, these leads are a little bit different because they're being brand new, but when I've called on ones that I think I'd mentioned, like I'll put 80 days in the filter, I'm actually use that compassion side of it. I hate that they haven't been able to sell the house. I hate the equity they're losing. They've had to put more house payments. I can kind of go down that route easier than I have so far on these brand new leads.
Well, and you can bring that in too for especially the very, very low equity leads here, or even the negative equity. Like Patrick's example on his phone call, you could have brought that in and said, I can't imagine how difficult it is to work with a client who may even have to pay at close to move. I can't imagine that's a stressful situation. In fact, I'm an ICU nurse, and I think that you can always bring in those sorts of things that are going to allow you to connect with the agent. And honestly, I think that being an ICU nurse is going to allow you to connect with agents.
As a person, right?
I really do.
Yeah.
So, hey, my day job is an ICU nurse. I kind of buy properties on the side when I have some time to make some phone calls, and just kind of bring that into the conversation. I think that's really going to help.
Thank you.
Yeah, good call. Let's continue to build off this. We got another 25 minutes or so. Let's get on a couple more phone calls.
Oh my gosh. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It won't mute.
Guys, while they're calling, it's super, super important to bring your experience into these phone calls as much as you possibly can. I think that you guys have heard Amber Brown on these before, and what she's doing is the Golden Girls model, which is she's buying houses sub 2. Then she's creating these homes with older, independent women. And you have to find a way to connect with agents on any level that you possibly can. That's a fantastic way to do it. Laura's an ICU nurse. That's a fantastic way to do it. Patrick's an agent. That's a fantastic way to do it. You have to find your voice with agents in a way that connects with them in ways that others aren't necessarily thinking of. You have to think about how you're going to stand out, whether it's what you do, how you do it. People always remember how you make them feel as opposed to what you say. So think about that as you're creating your script, if you will, your method. Super, super important.
I'm calling about the property that you have listed there at 5332 Cranberry Street. I'm sorry, it looks like Cranberry Street.
Granby.
Granby. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. In Denver. How's that?
Yeah, you got it.
I have a nephew and his wife are both realtors there in Denver. Anyway, yeah, I just was looking at that. This is the type of property that we are interested in purchasing. I know that you just relatively recently put it on the market, right?
Yeah, just it was Thursday we went live with that one.
Okay, awesome. I hope that it does well for you. Oftentimes these type of properties with little or no equity kind of can sit on market, and then they're losing their equity as you have to drop and stuff like that. And so I just like to introduce myself early in the game and let you know that these are the type that we try to create win-win situations for your seller and you, of course, getting your commissions, and then we increase our portfolios this way. So do you know with your seller if they might be interested in any kind of wraparound or creative situation if unfortunately if it sits on market for a while?
They are not. They, would either sell it or rent it out. So it's not any kind of like desperate or motivated situation or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I get it. Yeah, it's not for everyone. Fortunately, I am seeing that we're able to help a lot of people these days. So I'm liking that. But yeah, I get it. Is it okay if I give you a text so you have my contact in case there's any other properties that we could work on together at any point?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, appreciate it. All right, well, have a good day, Zach.
All right, thanks, you too.
Bye. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How'd you feel on that call? After the first one, this is the second one. How'd you feel? What adjustments did you make on that?
Well, I was trying to slow down and breathe and not all the information like you guys had input the last time. I mean, okay, Zach wasn't intimidating or anything like that, or, not always, but I find that a lot of guy agents are nicer than girls. Not always.
I think only if a woman is calling the guy. I feel the exact opposite way.
Definitely.
Anyway, yeah. And honestly, one that I called on recently, I was thinking, why don't these people just, rent their property? It's their solution, because they were only wanting $15,000 to walk away and no one will buy it. And anyway, it's a property I worked on for like a month and it didn't end up going anywhere. And so when he said that, my first thought was, yeah, that probably would be good for your seller to do.
Yeah. A lot of people, I don't think they necessarily think that way, right? I think that the natural way of thinking about real estate is I have to sell my house here, get rid of my mortgage here so I can qualify for my next home. And anyone who has very low equity, that's always an option. You can always do that and then use that lease money as a way to offset your DTI a little bit. Mm-hmm. The problem with doing that, though, is that typically to qualify, you have to do a lease purchase, which means that you're going to lease out the current property, purchase the next one before you get the process kind of moving into place here a little bit. So,
and you were saying on a previous week that you use that as an option sometimes to agents to let them know that you've done that to help.
Yeah, it definitely works for a lease purchase if we want to buy the house sub 2 and they're concerned about qualifying for the next loan. Definitely works that way. It's a little bit tricky if it's your own personal residence and you have yet to really look for your next home, because there's a time frame there of how do I lease it? Where do I live before I buy my next house? It's a little bit trickier.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can do it, but it's a little bit tricky. So yeah, I think that's potentially a good option for that agent. I would dive a little bit deeper with that agent. I would wait till you unload your creative lifestyle. I would wait till you unload that on the agent and see what the story is. Hey, this is exactly like the properties I'm looking to purchase. Can you tell me a little bit about it? I know it's been on the market for a couple of days. Tell me a little bit about the activity, right? You want to get him talking, especially if you feel like a male agent is easier to talk to. Mm-hmm. Personally, I feel like I don't know about you, Patrick, but I feel like I can't ask the same question of a male agent that I could of a female agent.
Yeah.
This is my experience.
Yeah. I like talking with female agents. It's easier for me.
Yeah.
Get them talking.
Get them talking. Ask them questions. And, the transition for you is the next step. Right. Get them talking, find out a little bit about the property. Sometimes it's BS, but what you really want to do is just get the conversation flowing and build that rapport before you drop the hammer. right? And the hammer being, let me tell you a little bit about how we purchase. Have you guys explored this option yet? And then what I like to do if I ask that question is typically they're either going to say no or the sellers can't do it or whatever. At that point, poke. Why can't they do it? Well, it's because they need to buy their next home. Well, why couldn't they just keep this mortgage in place and then buy the next home? Well, they can't do that because they won't qualify. That's really interesting. Let me tell you about a property we just purchased. The sellers were in a very, very similar situation. Right? That's your introduction into your third-party story. And I think that for you, I think a good strategy would be to get the agent talking, then drop the hammer, the transition, right? If this is how we purchase, have you guys explored this yet? And then hear from them why they haven't either explored it or why they couldn't do it.
And what's your next line after this is how we purchase?
I would say, we just purchased a house down the street. What we did is we kept the mortgage in place. We paid the agent's commission. We paid the seller's cash at close. We paid all of the closing costs. Let me back that up a little bit. This is my first role play of the day, Patrick. So very, very off.
And you haven't had your Celsius.
And I haven't had my Celsius for days, by the way.
Oh,
days.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. So what I would say is, we just purchased a property down the road. The situation there seems like it's very similar to the situation here in the sense that was a very low equity situation. And I would compare it to the example that I'm currently working on based on the data that I can see in the spreadsheet, right? It looks like in this case, the sellers are going to walk away with about $10,000 after paying all the commissions and closing costs. The reason that we purchase the way we purchase is because we protect the seller's equity as much as we possibly can. And the way that we do that is instead of the sellers paying the agent's commission, we pay it for them. Instead of the sellers paying closing costs, we pay it for them. And then we're able to protect their equity and make sure they're walking away with enough money so that they can do whatever their next step is. The big difference is that we keep the mortgage in place as opposed to us getting our own new mortgage on the property. Have you guys explored that option yet?
Right.
Was that better?
Yeah. I think the very first time that I was on this with you, I was like, can you please make a cheat sheet of all these one-liners, all these scenarios, because they're so helpful. I need to make a notebook and organize all these scratch notes I take from you because they're so good. Because it's so easy to you because you've been doing it for so long. It just flows.
I've had a lot of the conversations and you can have them a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
But as you're starting out and you're working on that transition, which is the scariest part of the phone call, right? Because what you want to do is you want to hurry through it. You want to speed up your voice so that they don't interrupt you, so that they can't say no, right? But what you try to do is, as you get more and more used to it, because you're saying the same thing over and over again, is you're trying to slow down. And what you're trying to do is just add value on top of value on top of value. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that, the agents are going to listen. And again, it may not be a good fit for this property that you're calling on, but it might be a good fit for the relationship at some point.
Well, not to sound humble, but one of the things that I say about myself, I actually joke with a lot of people, to know me is to love me, right? I'll say to people that we just met, I'm like, listen, I know we just met, but to know me is to love me. So I will remember that when I'm talking to get them to know me a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that I'm not just this voice, that's dropping the hammer.
Let's see if I want to get you, Laura, on another phone call, but both you guys make another phone call. Let's see who can get on another call. I think we have about 10 more minutes left. Laura, think about how you can get the agents talking, ask about the property, ask about the activity. That's a super easy question, especially with your list. It's a couple days older. I know that you guys have been on the market for about a week or so. Have you guys gotten the activity you were hoping for? Tell me about how the open house went if you had one. Just get them talking.
Okay.
Good job.
Hey, is this Amanat?
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, this is Patrick. How are you today?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm doing all right. Just enjoying a beautiful day over here in Northern California. I cannot complain. Hey, I wanted to call you real quick. I saw a listing you have over there in Clarksville, Tennessee. Is now a good time?
Yeah, it's a good time. Which one of the lessons?
Yeah, it's the one on Oakmont Drive.
Oh, yes.
Heck yeah, I saw that just came on market. It's a nice little cute house.
It is. It
Yeah.
absolutely is.
Yeah, my wife and I'm actually a real estate agent over here in California.
Okay.
My wife and we own a portfolio of homes. We don't own anything in Clarksville, but we recently visited because we own some stuff over there in Jackson and in Knoxville. And I heard a lot of good things about the Clarksville market. And
it's growing.
yeah,
It's growing. It's been growing for the past 6-7 years, like weed.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Are you originally from there?
Well, no. Actually, I moved here. I came straight from Nigeria to California. I used to go to Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah.
And then
Wow,
after
love
I
it.
graduated,
Yeah.
After graduating, I moved here to Tennessee with my husband. So, been here for like the past 10 years now.
Love it. How do you like it there? Love it?
Actually, I absolutely do. At first, it has to kind of grow on you. Like someone who came from the city to somewhere who's not as open. Yeah, it took a little bit adjusting, but trust me, it has grown on me so much. I can't even imagine living anywhere else.
Yeah, I love Tennessee. I love it. My wife and we talk about moving there all the time, but unfortunately, we're just not in a position yet to do that with family and stuff. We're tight. We're super close with family here, so that's what's kind of holding us back. Yeah, but so we're looking to expand our portfolio. I love this house. It's a little cute, small little house. What's the story with it? What's going on with the sellers? Why are they looking to sell?
So I actually helped her. I helped her buy a house. The seller, I helped her buy the house about I think 2 years ago, and now of course she got a few promotions at work. Now she's ready for something a little bit bigger for her son. We're actually already under contract on a new home, and she's just looking to sell this and get moving. But she doesn't want to keep a rental property. She just wants to sell it without having to worry about it.
Yeah, being a landlord's hard. Being a landlord, it's a tough job. Where are they moving locally, just to a bigger house?
Oh yeah, they're moving locally. The new house is literally about 5 minutes from the house because she loves the area.
Yeah.
She just wanted a 4-bedroom with a bonus room where she can have a playroom for her son.
Yeah. Well, I saw that. I was like, dang, they just bought it back in 2022. I wonder why they're looking to sell. It's such a cute house. But that makes sense. They're trying to expand a little bit. Try to get a bigger house. I actually had a daughter a couple months ago, so my wife and I are looking to do the same.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah. Thank you. What's the feedback you guys have had on this? Have you guys had any open houses or anything? I know it's only been on for a couple days.
We put it on the market on Saturday. We've not had any open houses, but what we have had is a lot of showings. We actually have 2 more scheduled for today, which is crazy because the market is growing a little bit slower right now. So to have like a lot of showings back to back, and it's been wonderful feedback. We're gonna get it off the market pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, love it. And is this house contingent, or is there other purchase contingent on them selling this house?
Not really, no.
Oh, nice. So if they do get into a situation, they could always kind of hold it as a rental if worst case comes to worst case.
Not as much. At least she wants to get it sold within the next 3 to 4 months.
Love it. Okay.
But we're not too much in a rush. But still needs to go.
Yeah. I see that. Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. I know it's only been on the market for a couple days. How are they with their price? Is there any wiggle room, or are they pretty firm on price? I know they only bought it a couple years ago.
Right. I mean, right now it's listed just a little bit under the market value because the market value came in at about 245. So we're listing it just a little bit under to get it going faster. If we need to negotiate a little bit lower or something, we can always work something up. But
Gotcha.
it's already listed pretty decent.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Just out of curiosity too, I know sometimes in these situations with kind of people who bought their house a couple of years ago, they don't have a whole lot of equity for, kind of investment buyers and stuff like that.
Right.
Just wanted to see if you guys had the discussion, or have you guys thought about doing something like a wraparound mortgage or something where the buyer comes in and pays agent commissions and closing costs and then takes over that existing mortgage payment to kind of capitalize on that lower interest rate?
That is definitely something we're open to. Yes.
Okay. That sounds good.
I actually also have another house that was supposed to be coming on the market in about a month, if you're interested, because that one is actually, I think the market value is about 310,000, but because it needs like a few things that needs to be done in there, they are willing to bring it down to like 255,000.
Yeah.
If you wanted me to send you an information on that one as well.
Sure, I would love that. Maybe after we're done talking about this house, what I can do is I'll text you my digital business card. It has my email address and everything, and then you could send that to me as well. But I know for this one, so I just closed on a property over in Phoenix, Arizona. My wife really loves Phoenix, but I just closed on a property. Yeah, it was a house that was listed, and the sellers, they didn't have any equity. They were actually going to have to pay about $10,000 to just to sell their house. And so what we did as the buyer is we came in, we paid the agent's commission, we paid the closing cost, and we actually gave the seller about $5,000. And we just came in and took over their loan that they got, a couple years ago. And so it worked out real good because the agent got paid. The sellers didn't have to pay for closing costs, and they actually made money instead of losing money. Is that something you think they would consider on Oakmont Drive?
Probably, but I know with the price we have it listed at, after the closing cost is paid, listing agent, buyer's agent, everyone is paid, my buyer should still be able to walk away with about 12 to 13,000. So if you can give us something like that or close to that, then that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. What I'll do is I'll send you my digital business card, and then we can have a little bit more of a conversation on what that would look like specifically.
Okay.
And see if we can, we'll see if we can put something together and get this closed out, because I really like this house. And then hopefully you can be my eyes and ears out there and just bring me some more deals, because I buy about 3 to 5 homes every month, doing these types of creative strategies for homeowners that either don't have any equity or are struggling to sell their house. So I'd love to do some business with you and make you a bunch of money, and you can make me a bunch of money.
Sounds wonderful. That's kind of my deal.
Love it. Perfect. All right. Well, I'll send you my card here. I'll send you my digital card, and then I'd love to just keep the conversation going on this house.
Okay. Sounds good then.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay, Pace Morby. I'd love to make you some money if you bring me some money.
That was actually a pretty decent call.
Yeah, it was.
Did you guys ever see Horrible Bosses?
Yes.
Maybe. Okay, so there's a scene in Horrible Bosses where, do you guys remember OnStar in the cars, where you press the OnStar button, you get help? So in Horrible Bosses, the guys get in a car accident and they press the OnStar, or they get into an accident, and OnStar just comes on because it senses the car accident. And the guy who picks up the phone, his name is Amanat. And do you remember that part, Patrick?
Yeah, I think I do.
And the guys go, I can't pronounce that name. That's a horrible name. I'm going to call you Alan or something like that. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yes. Yeah.
He was a great agent, right? Really, really good agent. Laura, what did you think about Patrick's call there, other than being Pace Morby?
Well, I just jumped on at the end. I did not unmute my call because I could tell you were talking the whole time. So I actually was on a call the entire time until the end. So what I did here is I thought it was great. And oh my gosh, lucky dog. And that's amazing.
How'd your call go? Before we dive into Patrick's, we didn't hear yours. How'd your call go?
It went well because I recognized the area code 719 in Denver, Colorado Springs. I have family out there. So I was able to talk to Tess almost the whole time that Patrick was on a call. And she had mentioned that her husband was from here, from St. Louis. Okay, where at? Oh, Jefferson County. Oh, that's south. And so we had conversation other than just, this house. I did ask her how the activity was on it. And she said that she assumed that I was there because she said, it just was listed for like a week and not bad considering everything that happened with the weather this past weekend. And I said, oh, I'm actually not local, but my family lives there. And I didn't realize they had gotten some weather. And so a lot of that. And then I asked her, I let her know that this was the type of property that, we purchase when you're unable to sell and all of that and stuff. And then she said, well, like, what do you mean like sub 2? And we talked a little bit about that. And she said, so are you with like Pace Morby's group? And so she knew Pace. And I said, actually, I am. And so I got to, say a lot of kudos about, the sub 2. And she didn't say Cody Barton. Maybe she did. But the last name was Barton. I thought she said Derek, or she said, because I work a lot with, and she dropped a name, and that person's in sub 2. So she didn't have like a negative,
Derek Barton's a real person too.
Oh, it was his name then.
Yeah, Derek's a good guy. I love Derek.
Okay, awesome. So I met an agent who knows Derek. Okay, awesome.
Well, good job. So, I think that the first step for you is just elongating the conversation, right? When you elongate the conversation, that's where you build the rapport with the agent. And then I think the next step after you elongate the conversation, which you've done, is just that transition. How do you transition into confidently saying what it is that you do and then asking that open-ended follow-up question?
Mm-hmm. That's with your cheat sheet.
That's with the cheat sheet. Good job. Cheat sheet. It's a great idea, by the way. Patrick, your call I thought was really, really good. I thought that I think sometimes you get lucky with the agent, right? And I think in this case, the agent was really, really just a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Really, really good, right? Open to other options. So tell me a little bit more about what you thought about that phone call.
Yeah, definitely lucky with the agent. I mean, it just flowed. They were open to it. I just kind of went into it. I could feel that they were open to, I could sense that they were open to thinking outside the box. In my experience, to be honest, and this is, it doesn't have to do with somebody from Nigeria or whatever, but I feel like when I call agents that are not from the United States, they have more of like an open mindset to doing things. I've done a couple deals with people from like different countries that come, England, Australia. So I feel like they have kind of more of an open mindset, just opportunity, I guess. They're not so quick to shut things down. But yeah, I think
that they have manners. People from other countries have manners. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, but I just think that they're not so it's kind of weird. Like I've worked with some agents that literally are from Mexico as well. And they just have a different way of, I don't think it's a different way of thinking, but I don't know, maybe they're just not as jaded as some people from the United States, or they just don't come from the same opportunity. I don't know. But I just feel like for some reason that I've had a lot better experience for some reason working with agents that are not originally from here. Mm-hmm. But I think that one was purely just an agent that's willing to do it. I mean, I didn't have to pitch anything. I didn't have to overcome any objections. I literally just said, hey, here's kind of how I buy properties. Here's a third party story. Is that something?
She basically told you, give me 12 grand and yeah, we'll do it. Like, he sounds like you could write a contract today.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that was a really interesting point too. So if you take a look at the last column of that spreadsheet on the lead list, what does it say? What's the net to seller?
I didn't even look, to be honest. Where are we at? Which one am I at?
Well, Amanat said what? 12 to 13,000, I think, right?
Yep. Yeah. 12,863.
Yeah. So the calculation there is pretty darn accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Which means she knows her stuff too, probably.
Yep. So I love the call. I love how you build the rapport in the beginning, right? I want to move to Tennessee. We just had a baby, just not quite there yet. You know, those sorts of things are always going to be ways to connect with agents. Always. Some agents might chime in and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm just running into a meeting. Let's speed this up a little bit. And then you can pick that up, right? You can adapt a little bit. But I love the way that you connect with agents at the very beginning of the call. I think it's really, really powerful. The transition, the only thing that I would say about the transition, and maybe you felt it out a little bit differently than I did, but I typically wouldn't use the word, would you guys consider like a wraparound, something like that. What I would do if I say anything that's technical is I might say something like seller finance. Have the sellers consider doing something like a seller finance on this? If I'm sensing that the agent knows what they're talking about, or if I don't want to go down the road of explaining what sub 2 is, right? Because basically sub 2 is just a seller finance, as we discussed before, or a wraparound. But I think sometimes that language can scare them off. Laura, sorry to interrupt you, Patrick. While I'm thinking about it, sometimes I don't like to tell people that I'm an investor because it automatically turns them off. Just think about how that's received by the other person. If you find that it kind of turns them off immediately, then change it up a little bit.
Right. That's good what you just said about seller finance, because I never looked at it that way. I only think of seller finance if it's free and clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, a sub 2 is a seller finance. It just is. It's a seller finance, owner finance. The words are interchangeable. But especially if you're describing sub 2 to somebody who doesn't know what sub 2 is, agents know what seller finance is, right? The only difference is that in a sub 2, what do we keep in there, Laura? What's the difference between a straight seller finance and a sub 2 where there's seller finance? What's the one thing that's included in a sub 2?
Their interest rate?
Well, the mortgage. Yeah, exactly. The mortgage is included, right? We keep that in place. So I always like to say to someone who is unfamiliar with it, who I know has studied it in their agency stuff, it's just exactly like a straight sub 2, or sorry, a seller finance.
Finance, yeah.
You know, have you ever done a seller finance? Yeah, I've most likely they've probably done something similar, right? And so then you say, yeah, we close with a local title company and attorney, and it's essentially exactly the same as a straight seller finance. With one added thing, we keep the mortgage in place. So really great job, Patrick.
Yeah, I like that feedback too, because I think, sometimes I do that and then I get into the further conversations and the seller's like, what do you mean you want the loan to stay in their name or something like that? I should start with either kind of like a third party story, or like you said, just go into more simple terms. Because again, she may not understand, like they do teach you a little bit about wraparound mortgages, and at least in California realtor school, but again, they may not have touched it. So she may not even have any idea what I'm talking about, but sounds like she's open to something creatively. She picked up on it a little bit, so we'll see.
So you could say, have you ever done seller finance? Oh yeah, well it's kind of just like that, but we just keep the mortgage in place.
Yep. Exactly right. Well, guys, we are past our time. As always, Patrick, Laura, thank you guys so much for joining us. That was super, super fun. I hope that you guys join again, and I hope that you guys got value out of it.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, of course. So what are the big takeaways, Patrick, from today for you?
Big takeaways, personally, actually big takeaways for me are just getting on more types of calls like these and doing calls with other people. Sometimes when I'm making phone calls by myself, I don't have that energy that, it's like now I'm trying to put on a show for other people, or like I'm trying to, I don't know, you know what I mean? Just, I need to get more involved with other people and do these. So I think that's a big takeaway for me, and to just keep taking action. Not every call is going to go perfect, but you got to get out there and do it, because it's not going to end up on your lap.
No call will go perfectly, right? Yep. You just do the best you can. Laura, what about you? What's your takeaway from today?
I mean, me as well, Patrick. I just appreciate being here with you guys versus just on your own. doing it alone, or like in a Zoom with, hundreds of people. And so just the kind of one-on-one that you get here is appreciated, but get them talking. That'll be my takeaway. Get them talking.
Yep. Get them talking. Find the bunnies.
Ask questions.
All right, guys. Happy Tuesday. We will see you guys later. Have a great day.